During our stay in the village of Munda in the Western Solomons, it rained heavily at some point every single day. It poured all night a couple of times, and I would be woken up before the sun rose by all the birds chirping afterwards. It was still dark outside when I walked up to the balcony and watched as flocks of bright little birds, which I believe were Australian finches, rushed back and forth between the trees. I could have sworn I heard some cuckoo birds as well, which have some really distinct calls. There are more than 150 species of birds in the Solomons, unique species you won't find anywhere else. And I just want to tell you here that I am not a birder, not the binocular around my neck kind, though my neighbors used to call me the bird lady because they'd see me giving the birds in our front yard fresh water every day. Birds are some of the best indicators of the health of ecosystems because they're very responsive to environmental change, whether that's logging or water pollution or overdevelopment. I thought about this a lot during our time in the Solomons, about how amazing it was to be able to hear the birds this loudly, this close, because they're a reminder of the incredible biodiversity of this place, as abundant on land as it is in the sea. This is The Catch, a podcast from Foreign Policy about the seafood we eat and the impact it can have on our world. I'm Ruxandra Guidi. Episode 5, Nature's Protectors. About an hour after being woken up by the birds, our Solomons reporting partner Dorothy, my editor Rob, and I climb into Tingo Leve's motorboat again. We're heading to an island known for preserving that incredible biodiversity. There isn't a cloud in the sky as we zoom past the reefs where we tried to catch some skipjack a few days before and failed. We pass multiple small islands where people's homes have been built on the very edge next to the water. Villagers are waving at us. We pass mangroves and coconut tree plantations. And behind those, further into the islands, there are old tropical forests that seem impenetrable. The sun is out, but it's not too hot. And at one point, dolphins join us, surfing alongside. 3 hours later, we're still on our way, but we can see fewer islands dotting the horizon and longer stretches of sea. The only boats out there are dugout canoes. Finally, there's Tetepare, an island in a marine protected area. Tingo helped get this marine protected area established, working with Dr. Alec Hughes from the Wildlife Conservation Society, or WCS. You heard him on episode 3. The WCS raised funds to do coral reef monitoring there, to count local species, come up with best practices for how to protect the reefs, and train islanders so they could keep up the good work afterwards on their own.
All these communities we work with, we train them, equip them with monitoring materials, and then they have to work along with the monitoring calendar, like is it quarterly or 6 months or...
Yeah.
So we train them, collect the first round of the baseline data, and then continue on so that we can easily see the difference. That's it.
So does their funding go directly to those communities so they can do this work, or it really is fully volunteer?
Well, that's the big challenge because volunteer nowadays is no one's willing to volunteer now.
Tingo's slowing the boat. There are reefs all around Tetepare. You can tell by the shallow seafloor coated by corals and water that's the brightest turquoise blue. Now that the marine protected area has been established, there are rangers regularly stationed here.
But you see, so that's that lighthouse there, that's the area which is closed, and they come and
I see.
stay overnight on this island in front there.
Oh, okay.
He's pointing to one edge of the island, but I can't see anything other than thick canopies. Tingo says there's always a ranger there, keeping watch over the reefs, making sure no one's fishing illegally. It's a bit of a cat and mouse game.
When poachers, they see light at the lighthouse,
They know not to go.
by the time they run over there, the poachers maybe just hide somewhere else.
Oh, yeah,
Turn
yeah.
off the light again. And by the time they waited, the rangers waited, no more. By the time they come back, arrive, they look up back, the light is back up there again.
So
By
the
time they
rangers
go
are
up
not
back
going
more,
on boat. They're stationary.
They have a patrol boat, but very limited fuel.
Yeah.
Tingo tells us he feels bad for these rangers.
So I'm telling them straight now that I don't know more or see more what other avenues to go,
Yeah.
because we want to try and do it the simple way.
Patrolling is not easy. Sometimes the poachers are neighbors from the next island, or even people from within the same community.
Naughty rascals, we call them.
So there may be some naughty rascals, but there are also a growing number of marine protected areas in this corner of the Pacific. And that's a good thing, isn't it? I tell Tingo how just this summer, the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu announced the creation of the Melanesian Ocean Reserve, the world's first indigenous-led, multinational ocean reserve, one that will hopefully protect a maritime area 3 times bigger than Alaska.
The Melanesian Ocean Reserve Initiative will include Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea, and Solomon Islands. After 33 years...
But Tingo gives me a certain kind of look. I can tell he's skeptical.
The Melanesian Ocean Reserve that will be established here, it was, at those UN negotiations, they announced they're going to establish. You heard about it? You're laughing.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't think, because for the government to support the small local community-based organization is a missing gap. So if they don't do that and they want to preach up on the bigger one, then it doesn't make sense.
Right. So without enforcement, how can those areas really be protected? Tingo seems to think that's not really going to be feasible, given how hard it is to protect the water surrounding a much smaller area, like this one, the 46-square-mile Tetepare Island. Still, signing on to these treaties shows there's goodwill on the part of the government and a desire to attract international funding for environmental protection. Back in the 90s and 2000s, logging was in the decline here. Tingo says now the biggest threats are overfishing and deep-sea mining.
But that's the other thing too. Logging is gone now. Everything is focused on the marine now. So, But I think Solomon Islands signed a moratorium too for no deep-sea mining, I think. So that's one good thing about them. But yeah, because there's some rumors saying that that's the only revenue for the government is to venture into deep-sea mining.
That would accelerate the destruction of this planet.
Yeah, thank you.
We roll up our pants, climb off the motorboat, and walk towards the edge of the island, where a gentleman greets us. Pretty soon we're hiking single file along a slippery path that takes us into the belly of the island. It is dark and humid down on the forest floor. And then someone in our group points to a critter a few feet away from us. Actually, there are 2 of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's pretty big. Yeah. Wow, that's long tail. You see the lizard right there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a big one.
Even from far away, you can make out their large claws and muscular bluish tails. Some of these reptiles, we're told, can grow to 5 feet long. We walk into a wooden hut where 3 other men, Tetepare's rangers, have agreed to meet with us. Whenever tourists visit the island, they say, this is the room where they'll eat, with a view of the forest and the sea beyond. There can be as many as 14 people visiting the island, staying inside huts for a few days at a time. They call it an eco-lodge. But above all, Tetepare is an indigenous conservation project.
My name is John Kennedy Swapi, and since the establishment of this project in 2002, I also one of the first ranger that been appointed to do first activity where we call it reef check, to monitor first of all before the project came in full implemented. It's very hard to start off this project because TDA, or the Tetepare Island Descendants Association, they were scattered throughout Western Solomon.
Let me tell you a bit about the beginning, because it's such a unique story. The Tetepare tribe was not related to the people in the other neighboring islands. They spoke a distinct language and had different customs. Around 1860, Tetepare ended up virtually uninhabited. One of the theories is that a disease decimated most of the population, except for a woman and her daughter, while others migrated to other nearby islands. More than a century later, in the 1990s, this tribe's descendants decided to come together to form the Tetepare Island Descendants Association in an effort to get everyone involved in the island's preservation. They went door to door, or rather, island to island.
And so we, at the first place, we go throughout the islands and make known to them that the descendants want to conserve, keep this island as it is, because there are influence of logging from foreign countries coming in Solomon. And when we started off our project, all the resources coming very, very low. Though there are many threats that we are facing, but we still continue to survive, continue to do all what we are planning, are scheduling in each programs that we go through.
One of their programs is focused on turtle conservation. Tetepare is home to 3 species of turtles: green, hawksbill, and the western Pacific leatherback turtle, which is on the brink of extinction. They measure and tag them and make sure that once they hatch their eggs, their offspring can make it through.
Could you explain to us what conservation looked like for your ancestors? I imagine the term is new, but the practices were all there in other ways. So what did that look like?
According to my ancestors, I believe they already practiced conservation way back with that rules and regulations. I believe that's their normal way of living, how they manage their resources. And compared to today, we try to make our rules and regulations or make up rules to govern our resources.
Inuk Leti is the youngest ranger at Tetepare. He must be in his 20s. Like John Kennedy Swapi, the oldest serving ranger here, Inuk doesn't live on the island, but comes for a week or 2-week stints at a time. This is important because Tetepare has been uninhabited for more than 150 years, and the Tetepare descendants want to keep it that way, save for occasional tourists and visiting researchers.
I believe why we make up rules and regulations to govern our resources, it's because of very high population and also huge threats from logging as well as natural disasters and even people. So we try to make up rules to govern our resources. That's about that. And
but also I'm thinking about how it's difficult to feel connected to a place when people leave, right? Yeah. That happens to so many of us. We leave looking for work, for university, for whatever, and then you lose that ownership.
Yes. One of our biggest or greatest duties is that even though we face up with a lot of challenges, we continue to hold talks during communal or tribal gatherings and events, because one of the important thing I say is that it's good to show this generation, for example, what a dolphin looks like, yeah? Otherwise, you talk about dolphins, but they didn't see, they didn't touch. So almost everything that we keep concept, we continue to tell this generation about.
So it's a lot of storytelling. That's what you do a lot as a ranger, yeah? Tell stories.
Yes.
So the rangers talk about conservation. They come up with local rules based on cultural traditions and what's been passed down orally by their ancestors. But then, of course, there are complex modern-day challenges that they must address as well, like the tuna netters, or boats, which come looking for easy catches around the Solomon Islands' exclusive economic zones, but can get too close to the reefs around Tetepare. Here's Tumibea, another one of the rangers here.
Yeah, that's a big problem, but we cannot go above the government because the government, they are the one who took them in. So for us, I think it's quite hard to talk about how far they can do fishing.
Well, the government are part owners.
Yes.
Remember Sol Tuna, the Solomon's Tuna Fishing and Processing Company, is part owned by the government, which means they have a stake in running the big tuna boats, which means bigger profits, but also bigger conflicts of interest.
Let's say they are big owners of the resources. So we have certain meters from our islands.
3 kilometers.
Yeah.
That's 2 miles.
That is the area that especially we are keeping, and that is the area that we are focused on. So if the trawlers came closer, then we have to go and move them out. But what we have is the 3 kilometers. There we put our focus in patrolling.
And those 3 kilometers are established by the government, not established by you? Or
Not by the government, but by the TDA.
That 2-mile buffer, where no one can come to catch fish or turtles or any other species, was established by them, the Tetepare Descendants Association.
By the TDA. I see. And they have to, because you have sovereignty over this island, they have to respect that. Yeah.
So communities like Tetepare have the rights over their resources, but those rights only go so far. They have started a marine protected area out of their own initiative, but they need the national government to formally recognize it and to give them resources so they can keep it going.
Our MPA is not registered. We tried to register the MPA area, but still not yet registered, the MPA area. So people, when they do poaching, they don't care.
The poachers don't care whether something is protected or not, but conceivably they could be reasoned with, since most of them are local people. My editor Rob asks how the rangers typically handle these kinds of situations.
These poachers, I imagine you might know them personally. But what's it like, because it's such a small community?
It's a very big challenge to rangers because we already in body contact, fighting already. But they are not from different islands or different people. Some of them are uncles, cousins. So it's easy to approach them, but very hard to listen because we are one. But no matter how hard it is, we still continue to do some awareness, teach them, even come and feed them here, like drink tea, and told them to go back. And that is what still continue as what to me have already said. We are not registered MPA area.
Once again, we're hearing what both Tingo Leve and Dr. Alec Hughes, the director of the Wildlife Conservation Society, told us earlier, that it's much easier for communities to establish conservation areas, but it's another thing to get them registered by the government. Right now, all the rangers can do is offer poachers a carrot and not a stick. In order for the Tetepare Descendants Association to truly fight illegal fishing in its marine protected area, they needed to be registered and supported at the national level. So you see, indigenous sovereignty may be largely honored in the Solomons, and yet it still has a long way to go. When it comes to nature and natural resources, profits still seem to trump communities' rights. Next week on The Catch. The Solomon Islands' message is clear. Tuna means profits. Tuna equals growth. What else brings growth? In recent years, it's been cozying up to China.
Across the board, their leaders have to make decisions, sometimes in the near term, even when they know or their preference might be to partner with the U.S. or partner with Western partners. But if China's right there with money and the ability to swoop in, then they're going to take it.
And that's it for this episode of The Catch. Our show is a production of Foreign Policy in partnership with the Walton Family Foundation. Our production team includes Rosie Julin, Rob Sachs, and Susanna Mays. Special thanks to my co-reporter in the Solomons, Dorothy Wickham. If you like what you're hearing, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcasts@foreignpolicy.com to share what The Catch means to you. Thanks for listening. I'm Ruxandra Guidi. See you next week.